Just fine. How are you?
I appreciate it.
We're okay. We're going to start.
Let's see, we're just... So there's just one addition. The Lindon Royalty are going to, I'm going to present them at the top. They're not on the agenda. They're here tonight. Okay, so we'll just give another minute. Hopefully Jake will be here.
Surfing you want.
I'm going to be seen. Allow myself to be seen.
I was so surprised at how clear I can see that computer.
recording started? All right, fantastic. All right, everyone, welcome, welcome. We love it when we have a full house like this. This is wonderful. My name is Mayor Carolyn Lundberg. I'd like to welcome everybody here who's in person as well as those online watching this. We'd like to welcome you here to our City Council meeting here in Lindon City at 5:15 p.m. Monday, May 19th, 2025, here in our council chambers. We always begin first with an invocation, which will be offered by Councilmember Cole Hooley, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by one of our youth council members, Venna Orm. We'll go to that point.
Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for the good lives that we have, and we hope to do well by the many blessings thou hast given to us. Please help us to continue strengthening our community and being good neighbors, thoughtful of each other, so that our community can be a place of peace and prosperity. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
If I could have everybody stand and repeat the pledge after me.
Thank you so much, Venna. We do have Councilmember Hoyt is on his way. He's let us know. We'll be here shortly. In the meantime, the next item that we do is, if you would like to follow tonight's agenda, there are printed copies there at the entrance to the door. And we'll first have our roll call here with our council. And I'll start here on my right.
Van Broderick present.
Cole Hooley present.
Carolyn Lundberg present.
Lincoln Jacobs present.
Steve Stewart, present.
And then if our recorder can note when Jake is present for the roll call. Thank you so much. Well, this is really exciting. We get to do some presentations here as item number 2. And there's some amazing stuff tonight that is really, really wonderful to highlight and honor here in our community. The first thing I would like to do is we recently held our annual Lindon Rodeo Royalty competition. And I'd like to welcome, is Shawnee here tonight? Okay.
She's a little bit late, but she will be here.
All right. If it's all, do we need to wait for her just a moment, or?
I think we're good to go through with it.
Okay. Our queen's got it, I think. So let's have our young ladies come forward and introduce yourselves. And we'd love to hear a little bit about some of the skills and things that you did in the competition to represent us in this role.
Okay.
If you could use this microphone too, just go ahead and grab that.
Just make sure the green light is on lit up.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. So I am your Lindon Days Junior Rodeo Royalty Queen. My name is Jana Johnson. So I wanted to start off just for thanking you guys for the funding for our royalty. It really means a lot and makes it so we can be here today, so I really appreciate that. I also wanted to talk about our contest a little bit. So we had a couple portions that we had to compete in, one of them being horsemanship, where we complete a pattern on our horse, an interview with the judges, a speech, a modeling pattern, and an impromptu question. So it was a really fun competition. We had 8 girls, and if you know anybody who wants to be a rodeo queen, send them to Lindon Days. It's a great contest to begin with and start learning. So I'm really excited for Lindon Days this year, and I hope to see you all at the rodeo on July 31st. And so come say hi to us.
I am Carly Nelson, Lindon Days' first attendant, and I'm super excited for the trail ride that we put on. And we will go up the Provo Canyon, and we go and take everyone on a little trail ride, and it is so much fun. And we have lots of prizes afterwards, and we also have breakfast afterwards. So come join us.
My name is Emma Hopkins. I'm the second attendant at the Junior Rodeo. And this year I'm really looking forward to the Cowgirl Clinic, which is just at the Lindon Arena. And we'll take some kids around for rides and just get them introduced to our horses. And yeah.
Awesome. We brought you guys some cookies as well. So
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
it was awesome talking to you guys. Thank you.
Young ladies will be representing our city for the next year all throughout our communities, and they're quite amazing. And we'd love to get a picture with you, with our council, if that's okay. This is kind of, we'd love to have you come up for a minute.
You don't always? You good? Congratulations.
We love this program. It really is to the heart of what Lindon's all about, that little bit of country, and we want to keep it going strong. And we're so grateful to Shawnee Rasmussen, who dedicates a ton of free time and hours. They said they get a little budget from us. It really is a little budget. They make it go a long ways. So we love that. So let's give a round of applause to these young women in Shawnee. Something that Shawnee is doing, there is a Lindon City Youth Riding Club throughout the summer. It's fantastic. They get together, they have sessions, they do trail rides, they teach the youth horsemanship, and you can find that on our Parks and Rec page. There's a couple sessions going for the Youth Riding Club this summer. You do have to bring your own horse, unfortunately. So anyway, we love that. Thank you so much. All right, next I'm really excited to introduce our Lindon Youth Council, and we are now in our 4th cohort of youth in this community who are engaged and learning and going to be representing us through all of our events and a myriad of service projects. And so I'm going to let our councilman, Steve Stewart, when we started this, when I became mayor, we wanted to make sure that we're teaching the future leaders of our community to love America, to love their community, and to build leadership skills. And they have been so tremendous, and we're so excited to work with this new cohort going forward for the next year. So I'll let Steve kind of introduce a couple things about the interviews and then have them all come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. When I retired as the principal of Pleasant Grove High School, I really needed to stay working with the youth. And so when I was given this opportunity to begin the Youth Council, it just was really the right thing. We started with 12 or 13 youth in our first 2 years, and last year we had 18, and this year we have 18 of some of the best youth you'll ever meet. We had interviews with each of them, and LaDon Edwards back there, she's
Advisor.
one of our other advisors, and Sharon Drake is another advisor in Hawaii. She couldn't make it, but we just, one after the other, after meeting with these youth, it was a remarkable experience. These are some fine young people. What I would like them to do is just each of them, just as a group, come up, and if you'll grab that microphone, just tell us your name, what school you go to, and what grade you're in. If you'll each do
And
that.
we'll have
So
you come up and stay
up.
there, and then we'll grab a picture, just like we did with our
Yes.
rodeo queens. Let's have our veterans come back. We have some that are
We have
returned.
5 returning members and 13 new. It's 5. I was wrong.
Have the mic there.
Okay. That's a lot of us. Okay. So, I'm Morgan Stone. I go to Timpanogos High School, and I am going into 11th grade.
I'm Vanna Orm. I'm a veteran this year. I go to Carl G. Mazer Prep, and I'm going into 10th grade.
My name is Asher B. Richardson. I go to the Utah County Academy of Sciences, and I'm going into my senior year, 12th grade.
My name is Auburn Warner. I go to Timpanogos High School, and I'm going into my junior year.
My name is Vincent Abachi. I am a veteran here and also go to the School Kimmer Academy and going into 11th grade.
My name's Amelia Smith. I go to Oak Canyon. I'm going to Timpanogos, and I'll be going into 10th grade.
My name is Morgan Harris, and I'm also going into Timpanogos, 10th grade.
My name is Tristan Roberts. I go to Timpanogos, and I'm going to my senior year of high school.
My name is Taylor Norris. I go to Timpanogos, and I'm going to be a senior next year.
My name is Teresa Okawa, and I'm going to Mazer Prep, and I'll be a junior next year.
I'm Wesley Carter. I'm a veteran, and I'll be a senior next year.
Hi, I'm Melissa Hill. I go to Oak Canyon Junior High, and I'll be going into 9th grade next year.
I'm Evelyn Carter. I'll be going to Tim next year as a sophomore.
I'm Brigham. I'm a sophomore, and I go to Timpanogos. Oh, and I'm about to be a junior.
Wonderful. Let's give them a round of applause.
There's more.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. Sorry.
There's two.
I'm Evelyn Sharp. I'm in Oak Canyon Junior High going to Timpanogos, and I'm going to be in 10th grade next year.
Hi, America. I'm going to be in Timp next year as a 10th grader.
Okay, we got everybody. Good job.
Hang on, just so you know, these young people will be at our Memorial Day program next Monday at 9 a.m. We'll be starting then, and they'll be there to help out along with our Little Miss Lindon group, and really excited for the service that they'll be able to perform over the next year. Glad to have these guys.
So you'd be kind of the middle point here.
Like 6.
Try to step forward more. Turn your shoulder, this shoulder out more. Yeah. Okay, over. Okay, and then. These youth are now headed out to do their first service project. They're going to be planting flowers at our Freedom Monument in anticipation of our Memorial Day, so we're so grateful to them. And something I just have to highlight, our youth council this last January, each year they get to have a day at the legislature in January, and it's a really thrilling experience. We meet usually with some of our elected state officials. Last year it was with now Congressman Kennedy. He was a state senator. This past year, our youth council was, all the youth councils throughout the state come up that day. It's really quite incredible. And we had the honor of one of only 6 youth councils that was selected to debate in a mock debate actual issues around housing. And they did so amazing. Wesley and some of the others that are here, some of our returning seniors, were fantastic debaters. And I am really excited to report that in talking with some of our local legislators, the topic that we brought up and debated is an actual legislative conversation happening right now in the legislature. So it may, the seminal idea may become state law. So congratulations to our Lindon youth. All right. Well, bear with us. We just have so many good things tonight. Our next presentation, again, we see some wonderful smiling faces in here, and I see some really fun t-shirts I'm excited to introduce here. Let's have Jamie Jensen come forward. I could get emotional. I almost want to get tears in my eyes when I think about Jamie. Then I will. Again, when I became mayor 3.5, 4 years ago, we sat down together, and as we talked with each person that works for the city, just understanding their goals and things that they would love to magnify or ideas they had. And one of the things we talked about is these communities that care, organizations that are happening in other cities. There's something really special about that. We need to do that here in Lindon. And she had the passion and the drive and the heart. And I said, you go, girl, let's do this. And I am unbelievably stunned in the absolutely meteoric trajectory she has brought this program into our community and the lives it is changing and touching and the grants she has gotten after. She is so amazing. Anyway, sorry, I just have to. So Jamie works here. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for those kind words. As you can see here tonight, that trajectory has taken off, not just me anymore. So, dang it. Okay, so I just want to recognize a few people. As you can see, there's a lot of support in the room tonight. And we have principals, we have bishops, we have families that have participated in our classes. We have teenagers that have come to some of our courses. We have coalition members that have been trained and given hours of their time over the last few years to build this program. Most importantly, we come to you as parents and community members. We're so excited to share our summer campaign with you. The first number we want to talk about, 54%. Over half. That's a big number. Next slide, please. Thanks, Brian, for driving. So 54% represents the number of students in Utah County that are somewhat or very worried about the possibility of suicide by a friend or peer. So this number was taken from the SHARP survey. So our 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders were asked these questions about 2 years ago. It's given every other year in March. So it was just taken this last March, but we don't have the data back. So this is about 2 years old. But this is concerning. This is something we want to be aware of, something we want to be proactive about. Next slide. So how do we do this? What does this look like for us in our community? We want to share support and education and resources, not just to our community, but also to our police who have to respond to these situations. We want to create connection and attachment and engagement with each of our community members because we know that connection is prevention. Next slide. We talk a lot about risk and protective factors in the prevention world, and we've decided as a coalition to be aware of and to be informed by our risk factors, but we want our energy and our focus to be on protective factors. We know that risk factors increase the likelihood of problem behaviors, and protective factors decrease those problem behaviors. So we want our focus and our energy to be on the protective factors. So the two that we have chosen to focus on are pro-social involvement and family attachment. Next slide, please. So one of the ways we're doing that is this summer, Lindon Parks and Rec already has a wonderful family attachment program where they have free movies in the park. You've probably been with your kids or grandkids. It's a free movie to come on a Friday night. We give treats. It's a really fun way to come together as a community. We didn't want to add anything to people's schedules, so we thought, let's just go where the people are. We'll just improve on the greatness that's already happening. So we have these 3 movies planned that will be happening over the course of the summer. Next slide. And specifically, we'll be handing out these bracelets. I can, I belong, and I matter. So each movie will have a different focus. We feel very strongly that these positive messages will continue to build on the community and the great connections that we already have in Lindon. Next slide. We also have a banner that will be inviting people to sign to join the movement. In between events, it will hang at the pool so people can see it and ask questions. How do I get my name on the banner? And then we can invite them to the pool or to the movies to get a bracelet. Hopefully this will create more momentum and more unity as people become a part of this movement. Next slide. We'll also have these wonderful signs throughout all of our parks and fields and trails. And then if you notice, I wanted to point out that the signage says you matter, you belong, and you can, because we want this outward focus of saying those words to each other. And the bracelet said, I can, I matter, I belong, because it's also something personal that we need to say to ourselves. Everybody has a place. Last slide. Thanks, Brian. So we're really excited about this. We know that people base their perceptions and their choices based on social norms and what they think is happening and what's acceptable and what's normal. And so we want to create a momentum in Lindon that Lindon cares, that people matter, that people belong, and that people can be here and do hard things. And we're really excited for this campaign over the next few weeks and months. We have a t-shirt and bracelet for each of you. We'd like to invite you to be the first to join our movement. We have the banner here for you to sign. And then we'd like to take a quick picture with all the excitement. We're so grateful and appreciative of all of the support and encouragement. One trick about the bracelet is they're really hard to put on by yourself. The point is to connect with someone, to look at someone and have just a 3 to 5 second conversation and touch base. How are you? What are you excited about for summer? Have you seen the movie before? So we would invite you to take out a bracelet and have a neighbor put your bracelet on and connect with the person next to you. And then the banner, we would invite you to come sign our banner. Sure, we can use that table. Do you have any questions for me?
This is
Thank you so
wonderful.
much. We're very excited.
Tell me about all of our good friends that are in here.
Yes, okay, if you're a coalition member, will you stand? These people have gone through hours of trainings and meetings and now can present and share education and resources with our community. We have a lot of support from other CTCs in the county and across other cities. So if you're a county member in another city, please stand. Okay, and then we have a bunch of families, wonderful families that have participated in our classes and our courses over the last few years.
Okay.
Where's the
See some young people.
Sarah, Jessica, Anthony, yeah, this is part of our community. We just love them so much.
So amazing. Love it.
Please come down and sign our banner, join our movement, and then we'll take a quick picture.
Okay, where's the banner
Right
now?
here on the table.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, if everyone, sorry? As big as you want. You get to decide. You want to do the John? You set the stage for us, Jane. If you're, and we had, Steve, we had bags for all the youth council too.
Oh, okay.
So if I just give those to you and you can
Yes.
pass them on to Mayor. Okay. We'll just put them back.
You weren't a doctor.
Okay, and then everyone else, we want to grab a big group picture before we go. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, should we come in front?
Obviously, that's what we need to do. Like, let's not just pour on our plates for no reason.
Come on, Karen. Come on, Karen. No, we've already got one. We've got a photographer. You gotta give me a count because I can't hold the squat. I know.
Well, Ava's gonna try.
If you just give me a little over here, I think I can get you all. Okay, I'll take it in 3, 2. Hold on. I think I got it.
Yay! Thank you, thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So beautiful. Jamie, thank you for all you do. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. It's amazing.
Is that you, Mayor?
It is. Thank you.
Had our eyes on him. Good job.
Today we have an exciting meeting with farm ordinance and general plan, land use issues. You're all, oh. No, okay. No, we're all good. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take your time. Take your time. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the meeting. So we now have one more presentation. I'd like to welcome Il Schwindeman here from the North Point Solid Waste Special Service District here to talk with us for a moment.
Thank you for having me. Looks like you have some pretty amazing things going on in the city, and I feel bad for having to back clean up. I mean, they already hit it out of the park, but now I get to talk about the trashy part. So,
which is a very
valuable
element.
Yes, I get to talk trash with Lincoln all the time. We spend a lot of time on Friday taking a tour of 2 landfills. So
Lincoln is a council member that makes trash sexy. So we're good.
Make sure that's highlighted in the minutes, please.
Did we get that in the minutes, Brittany?
All right, here we go.
Let's go ahead and go to the first slide. I have just a bunch of numbers for you tonight, just an update of where we are. So this first slide is our MSW tons through the transfer station in from 2012 through 2024. MSW is the municipal solid waste, which is your typical household garbage, your restaurant garbage, commercial businesses, paper, plastic, metals, glass, stuff like that. This year we dipped down just a little bit on our MSW. Go ahead and go to the next slide. The next one is our C&D, or construction and demolition. You can see that that's increased significantly over the years. If you've been to the transfer station, the construction demolition waste is piled up outside, loaded into trucks, and taken to our C&D landfill out in Fairfield. The MSW is what's in the building, and that gets loaded into trucks and hauled down to our Bayview landfill in Alberta. Go ahead to the next one. And then this is a cumulative total of both. So last year we moved over 330,000 tons of trash through the transfer station. Just a couple truckloads, right? So go ahead and go to the next one. This one is the amount of curbside waste, so just the residential collected waste at the curb by city. And you can see Orem and Lehigh are 2 biggest cities, have the biggest portion. And let's see, Lindon's right there at 4%. And 4,958 tons just from the curbside residents.
So you can see there's a lot of cities that contribute into our North Point Solid Waste Transfer Station.
Those are the 9 member cities. On the commercial side, we do get waste from other cities commercially, but residential, these are the 9 cities we get the residential curbside from. Go ahead and go to the next one. This is the transfer station tons by material. So we break it out into several different material types. The clean fill, the first one there, is clean concrete or clean dirt. That clean concrete we can have ground up, crushed into a road base and a drain rock. So in essence, we're recycling that. Our green waste, any grasses, bushes, tree limbs and stuff that get trimmed off is composted and, well, it gets ground up on site, taken off site, composted, and then we bring some of it back to sell. So that gets recycled as well. Our minimum fee loads on all materials, and I believe these are tons. The minimum fee load, so when a resident or a small commercial has just a pickup size truckload, they just get charged that minimum fee. And so those are the tons that came from that. Then our commercial MSW would be our front load trucks. They pick up the 2, 4, 8-yard dumpsters, and then also the roll-offs, the big 20, 30-yard roll-offs that actually get placed on site and picked up when it's full. And then, of course, our residential curbside, and then broken out the commercial construction and demolition waste. So you can see those numbers there. You can see that the curbside and the commercial MSW make up about 50%. Go to the next one. This is by vehicle type. So just the small loads that get weighed last year, we did over 26,000 customers. This is just each customer. The small vehicle minimum fee, 41,000 customers. Residential curbside, so these are going to be the bigger side load trucks, 12,720, and then our roll-offs of 6,231 and front loads of almost 2,500. Go ahead and go to the next. Out of our minimum fee loads, 9,600 of them were MSW, 7,300 C&D, green waste 3,500, and clean fill 175. So obviously the MSW and C&D is our major trash that we handle. Go to the next one. And this is Lindon's history of the curbside tonnage coming through the transfer station. So we did increase a little bit over last year at pushing 5,000 tons of trash from the curbside residents. Go to the next one. And this is the coupons that are used at the facility. See, 2020 is pretty typical of a peak because of the COVID year, but I don't know how many coupons the city gives out, but
So this represents just Lindon.
Just Lindon's
people that pick up
coupons.
the postcard here and get the 2 dumps.
Correct. So, and yeah, is that how it works? You just have a postcard people pick up when they
Every residential address can get a 2-punch card.
Very good.
So does this represent per punch? 734 is per
That
punch?
just, yeah, 734 punches.
Okay.
Yep. So, and then our residential curbside fee history. So right now our tipping fee at the transfer station is $40 a ton. We are $36 for our member cities who we bill the city directly. So we give a $4 discount per ton. Right now we're at 36. My slides are already a little bit outdated. We just had a board meeting this morning. We are going to hold a public hearing next month and increase the fee another probably $1.50 because Bayview Landfill is owned by a group called New Era, the Northern Utah Environmental Resource Agency. It's made up of 4 entities, 4 districts: North Point, South Utah Valley Solid Waste down in Spanish Fork, Transjordan cities, or the Transjordan landfill. There's 7 member cities there, and then Wasatch Integrated, which is up in Davis and Morgan County. All 4 of us own the Bayview landfill. Each entity has 2 of our board members that sit on the New Era board. And in our last board meeting, well, let me back up. We had a financial model created to make sure that we're going to have enough money to handle the increase in tonnage that's going to be coming from Wasatch Integrated and Transjordan cities as their landfills fill up. We're going to need to transport that waste down to Bayview. And so we put together this big financial model to make sure we have enough money to have the capital to increase the equipment and everything that we need as we grow. And it was determined that we need to increase $1 a ton. New Era was formed in 2016, and our fee to dump the waste at Bayview was $10.50 a ton. It's going up to $11.50. So in 8 years, this is the first increase of $1 per ton. And so that's coming in July. So as you're preparing your budget, you can add that in and make sure you have that in your budget as well. It's kind of difficult with the district being on a calendar year and all the cities being on the fiscal year, but that's why I'm here to try to help with your planning as well. So I think that was my last slide, correct? Yeah. So any questions? Anybody want to talk trash?
So we did a tour with Mike Van Cherry a little over a year ago. That was a great experience, and then we just did one again last Friday. And it's just interesting. I think sometimes the garbage truck takes our curb, and we see other stuff go around, and we just don't fully appreciate where it's all going. At one point, as we were doing the tour, Neil said, "Oh, and now we're driving over the Provo Temple." Right? Everything goes somewhere. The prison, it went out there, right? It's just, you need to appreciate, and especially I'm excited our student council is going to do a tour next year to help everyone be educated, especially our youth, that it goes somewhere. It's very fascinating. The hydraulics is incredible, but also to realize just where everything is going, it's a good experience that I'm enjoying.
Yeah. Just one other update. We are currently in the design phase of improving the transfer station facility. Right at the beginning stages of that, so we're looking at what's the best option to improve the building, expand it, and then improve the traffic flow through the facility as well. So
Great. I know
that's-
sometimes the lineup can get
Yes.
quite long. I mean, we love that people want to keep their yards and the community clean, and that's why we give the punch pass. So that's great. More efficiency, get people turn around and back, right?
Exactly. And I'm praying that the construction on 2000 West will be done soon. So.
Yeah, it's been a little bit slow. Well, really quickly, with all the communities that you serve and us being so fast growing, do you anticipate trying to open a facility maybe on the north end of the lake for a lot of those communities there, so they would have a place like we do to bring personal?
My thoughts are somewhere on that west side. I'm working with some people right now to see what we can do over there. That would eliminate some of that traffic coming across Pioneer Crossing and whatnot. Sometimes it's a pretty big challenge when you want to go and talk trash to them and tell them, hey, let's put this facility in your community. So that's a challenge, but we have some ideas that we're going to move forward with to try to get that to happen.
Any referrals, I could talk to the other mayors and tell them this is a great thing to have close by. Our residents, I think, really appreciate having a place to take, have that punch pass and take extra things, and then you guys do it well, and there's with the modern technology and being able to really contain and control it all, it's just a temporary place to then haul it out for the long term.
Exactly.
So.
And the other thing that is a benefit probably to your residents is I'm sure it's cheaper for your hauler to collect the garbage from the curbside, take it to the transfer station, because it's a much shorter distance. Mm-hmm. So ask them if you're getting a better rate because of that. So.
Good enough. Well, thank you, Neil, so much for coming here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Have a good
and
evening.
Kristen, you heard that increase.
I actually wanted to clarify because you were saying the slide is incorrect.
So the slide says it's projected for 2025, but that's probably going to be more of it is a reality that we're going to hold a public hearing and increase it. And we're combining, so it's going to go from 36 probably to 3750. That's what the public hearing will be for in June. So, and so you can take that 3750. You can starting July 1, correct?
And then do you see another change in January?
I hope not. That's what the 50 cents was for. But the board today is like, why don't we just? Because I've been talking to the cities, and that's what they're anticipating. So they're moving that way anyway. So instead of having to do another one in January. And then that will help us build our revenues a little bit as well for bonding purposes for our improvement on our facility. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we are now on item number 3 of the agenda. This is open session for public comment. If anyone would like to make a comment or have a question for the council, keep in mind no legislative action can be taken. At this point, things have to be noticed. But if you have a comment or a question for the council, you're invited to come forward at the chair and state your name and talk in the mic. Come forward, please.
One can come or multiple if they're here for the same reason or moral support. I like it.
That's right.
My name is Carlene Vinker, and I live on 140 North, and I'm here to request an ordinance amendment. My house faces the north. I don't have a cover over my front steps, and last winter, I've only lived in this home for one winter, and the steps were extremely icy and dangerous. And I would like to have an amendment so that I can put a cover over the stairs.
Can you pull that up on Google Maps real quick, Mike?
Yeah, and Ms. Vinker has also applied for an ordinance amendment, and so we're currently researching that, and then we'll take the ordinance amendment to the Planning Commission and then to the council for your review too. Remind me the address.
276 East, 140 North.
Sorry, that's on number block. 276 East.
Well, we're glad to see that you're all right. Did you take a fall at all, or you're just concerned
no, but
that you could?
My son and daughter-in-law were in the house, and during the time that they were there, it iced over to the point that had they gone down those stairs, they would have fallen. So they had to go through the garage to get out of the house.
Now, Carlene, as you explained it to me, it looks like, so you used to live in the house there on the right. Mm-hmm. You've now moved to the house there on the left, next door. Big move, very impressive. But you did the same exact thing, right? They weren't covered. You covered them so that they didn't freeze up in the winter. They are north facing. You've now moved into this house. You tried to do it, but because of the setbacks, it doesn't allow you to cover those steps with not necessarily living space, but kind of a pergola, a non-living space covering the steps. So that application has been made at the city level. So you're working with the staff. You're going through all the right steps is what I guess I'm trying to point out. So you're working with staff. They'll do the research. They will then present that to our planning commission, which is a group of people from our city. They'll make a recommendation to us saying, hey, we think we should approve or deny, and then we'll have that. I guess if they deny it, it will still come to us, or if it would still come to us. They'll bring it to us, and then we will act on that. Luckily, we're heading into summer. The wheels of the government sometimes move slowly, but luckily there's no snow on the horizon, or at least not this week, maybe next week. But
it did snow in June once.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess time frame wise, that will take a little bit of time for staff to research. Their meeting are offsetting ours, and so I guess trying to set the proper expectation. But I think that's the process, so that you understand. Is it Carlene that's making the application, or is it her builder?
No, it was her.
Next slide.
What's that?
Slade,
yes.
Slade Group.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that the builder?
Yes.
And just to give you a quick history, so Lindon City requires a 30-foot front yard setback, and so that's what this home is. And then we allow, if you've hit that 30-foot setback, you can only encroach 2 more feet with an overhang. Okay. And so because of how close the home is to the front property line, it's right at that 30 feet. You can't encroach anymore. So they've made an application to have an 8-foot overhang. And so that's something the Planning Commission and City Council will need to determine, is 8 feet the appropriate amount, or what is that?
Or less or more. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll compare it, and our staff's incredible. They'll compare it with other cities and say, hey, what's been done here in the past? What's precedence? And safety certainly is something we want to take into consideration. A lot of this, when was the house you're now living in built, Carlene?
I believe it was in 79.
Yeah,
we moved into our previous home in 77, and that one was built later. So what the ordinances were then, I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, safety is certainly something we want to speak to. I think unless there's anything else, you will have. I guess I want you to also understand that you'll have your opportunity.
You'll be invited to come to those meetings
to present and be here and field questions from that group and our group as we consider that. But I think this is a good opportunity for us to kind of see what you're talking about and drive by as we have time and kind of get our eyes on it, so we know it's coming down the pipeline.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
And the application was submitted, I believe, on Thursday last week, and so I started the research on Friday. It won't go to next week's planning commission. It'll be the first one in June probably. So I'd expect you would receive that your second meeting in June.
Excellent. So appreciate the Vinkers. They, as many of you know, longtime residents of Lindon, longtime business owners, Intermountain Precision Casting. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
I was able to serve with Larry on a few wood badges and sure love that man.
Thank you
as well as your other in-laws over here.
Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like it's on a good track and seems like a very reasonable thing. We're looking forward to seeing that. So,
could I just ask one question on this matter?
if you could come forward and state your name, that would be most appreciated for the record. Thank you.
John Williams is the name. The question is, as this is looked at, is this something that needs to be done every single time somebody asks, or is it something that they will look at that, okay, we approved it once, let's make it a city ordinance that allows it to be easier for the next person.
Yeah, I think that's what staff will be reviewing, is this something that could, because typically we don't want to just do one-offs, we want to have consistency in the code. And so that's what staff will review and potentially make a recommendation for the planning commission to review and consider and then recommend.
What she's applied for would be citywide.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what we do, a lot of our research is what are the unintended consequences? Because it makes a whole lot of sense here. Is there somewhere that it doesn't make sense? And so those are the things that we'll be looking at. But it will be applied citywide. This isn't an application for a variance. This is for an ordinance change.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, any other public comment for item number 3 tonight? All right. Seeing none, we'll move forward now to our council reports. And if everyone's ready to start off, please take it away.
I'll go.
Thank you.
Since we did roll call from this end, which we don't normally do first. Last week, able to attend our engineering meeting with the mayor and our city administrator. I should have brought it up at the time. Our projected finish of 2000 West is by the end of the month. Hopefully that happens. So a lot of work's been involved in that. We know it's been inconvenient for the businesses and in that area, but a very complicated infrastructure in that section, and we're pleased that it's coming together. If you haven't noticed, the concrete caps are being poured and installed on the planter boxes along Center Street, looking nice, and we're anxious for them to be finished. And everybody I know was there, but again, compliments and kudos to our police force and for the Police Week celebration and for the event that we had last week honoring our incredible police force and some of the specific officers for awards that they've earned. And we have a great community and a great police force. And I know everybody was there. And they have great support from council and administration.
Well, the communities that care, everyone got a great view of that group, so I'll let that speak for itself. They're doing amazing things with their upcoming initiatives. The school district, interlocal, we had a meeting recently. We're still in the phase of just looking at all the things that cities can do to ensure that the new school board will have the resources they need to make the best decisions. And so as far as organization and resources, so we had a joint meeting with Alpine School District and have a better understanding of what services will be offered to the new board so that they can get going right away. The Historical Commission is continuing their excellent projects, and the Tree Board is in the phase of purchasing trees to get them planted at the earlier part of this season.
Wonderful, yes. And the school district interlocal, we are trying to gear up to potentially have some legislative amendments in there, hopefully to help us get out the gates without too much of a deficit going forward and some of the other issues. Anyway, it looks like spirit of collaboration, but also trying to make sure we hand off to the new elected school board, like Cole said, good studies and information and data to go forward. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, just a quick update from the police department. What a great night. I looked at that. I had a chat with Chief afterwards about the camaraderie and the culture, and that's how we keep people. You know what I mean? So often we have all these different agencies raising wages, and it's all about wages. But I think a camaraderie like that and the culture, I think that's what really keeps people around. And so it was fun to see. You could just sense the love they had for each other at our police department.
Cheering and teasing.
Yeah, and which you love. Did you get your Yeti cooler yet?
Oh, no.
The love got a little scary when the song broke out, but
Well,
the camaraderie is awesome.
It was so funny because Greg was up there and he seemed like he was winding down. I was like, Chief, he's not breaking out in song. He might be in the clear. And then the next thing you know.
The first time he hadn't done a song, and there it was. He jinxed
That's
it.
right. I did. I jinxed it. Sorry.
I am a numbers guy. Chief provided me with their number of documented reports, January through April, a third of the year. And I thought in my mind what a number would be. You may be thinking in your mind, what, documented reports? So, something that actually required documentation. 1,807 from our police department alone. And so, again, they're always there behind the scenes doing a lot of great things. Appreciate you. Lindon Days, had a quick conversation with Heath today. Wanted to bring up that as council members, it is within our purview and falls underneath our responsibilities to look for corporate or other sponsors for Lindon Days, and keep that in mind as you're out and about, just, in the community, talking with Lindon businesses. We are always looking for and needing Lindon Day sponsors. So that's all I have.
If I could just interject there on the police, how much we appreciate our community as local businesses do things to provide awards and prizes for that event as well, to say thank you. And that's way cool to see citizens in our community and businesses involved in that.
And we're so blessed to have that new canine officer as well, all donated. And that, I've been speaking with some of our other sister cities, that's being deployed, throughout the county as needed. So shared resource, it's awesome, and all donated by local business.
Echo the awards banquet. As I sat there listening to some of the things Chief Barrow was saying, I reflected back on my career, right? We never held any recognitions for those who'd lost their lives. It was just a little sobering to me to recognize just the gratitude that we as a community feel for the great sacrifice and service that our police department offers. Did the landfill tour, and one of the individuals had a son that was there, and he just finished graduating from UVU. And I said, oh, because of the comments Chief Brower made about Officer Harmon there. And I said, oh, so Officer Harmon was there. And he said, oh yeah, we got to hide some drugs, and Chef got to sniff them out. And I said, and how was she as an instructor? And he said, she's tough. He said, when we knew Officer Harmon was coming, we knew it was going to be serious PT, physical training, and she was going to kick our butts. So great service, Officer Harmon and Chef, Officer Chef. Appreciate service in our community as well as outside the community. Good name for Lindon. North Point Solid Waste, as Neil mentioned, they're moving forward. Most of the agenda items today were all about the construction moving forward. It'll be an exciting new project, much more modern, up to date, and should have a couple waste stations possibly there. Parks and Rec, pool opens Saturday, May 24th is the kickoff. And when he sent this to me, he said, so that's this Saturday. I was like, no. Yeah, that's this Saturday, May 24th, pool kickoff, and then, of course, Memorial Day. It'll continue for the rest of the season. Soccer's all done, heading into baseball. Great stuff going on there. We had a significant effort, both with Parks and Rec and our Public Works, getting the Heritage Trail redone from 9th East all the way up to 1200 East. That was a lot of work, and it looks beautiful. And I think some problems with pooling, that in our 100-year storm flooded a basement, I think all of that has been addressed. So great effort by both of those departments. Planning and development, we've got a couple of items on the agenda. Britain has given us notice. So Friday is his last day. Mike and I were talking about it, and I think, Mike, this is your third person that you're going through, so maybe we're going to take instead of being so nice, a mean Mike that will help people stay longer. I don't know. But Britton, we appreciate your efforts here, and good luck, Mike, on your next search. That's all I have.
You all got to see our youth council. I can't tell you enough how excited I am for this group. they are going to do great things, and they're currently planting flowers, and they're very excited to get to know each other. Along with that assignment, I also work with Jamie Jensen with the Senior Center and senior programs. I don't know how she does everything that she does. Communities that Cares, and obviously an incredible program. She's taken that, but she also does a great job with our Senior Center. And she just sent me an email today just reminding me that there are a couple of senior opportunities that are coming up for the summer. We have senior water aerobics on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 7:30 to 8:30, $2 per class, beginning June 9th. That's also at our aquatic center. So if any of you know people who might benefit from that, please refer them. And also, they're going to have a rock and roll and barbecue on Monday, June 30th. At 5 o'clock, there's a dinner. This is at Pioneer Park at 150 South, 500 East. At 5:30, Elvis comes. Elvis will be in the building. It's a $5 prepay, and families are invited, so it should be a really fun time to get your senior members of your family out and enjoy a time with them. Also, just again, everybody's mentioned about the awards ceremony with the officers. That was really fun. I have 3 members of my family that have been in law enforcement, very, very sensitive to what they do and how it affects families and the cities in which they work, and we're so appreciative of their efforts, and it was really fun to be together with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Normally we turn this over to our administrator's report, and Mr. Cowie is home ill today. I don't know if our substitute community development director, Mike, has anything to add here on the administrator's portion.
Adam just included some dates for you on the screen there to review. So.
Great. All right, Steve, you're up for the newsletter. Okay, good job.
Just so you know, I was ahead of the game.
You're an eager beaver.
I finished
Good
2
job.
days ago, so I'm throwing down the challenge.
All right, we mentioned the Aquatic Center being open, and then, of course, our Memorial Day ceremony is going to be wonderful with our officers, Youth Council, Little Miss Lindon. All the community is invited. It's a beautiful program on Monday morning of Memorial Day, and there's some amazing groups that are coming in with music and a release of doves and a 21-gun salute at the end. So, and we have a very wonderful veteran who's going to be our guest of honor speaker. So, love to have everyone there. All right, we will now move on to item number 6, and this is the approval of the minutes from our City Council meeting on May 5th, 2025. If council's had a moment to review any changes or adjustments.
I'm good.
I've reviewed them as well. I'd like to recommend that we approve the City Council minutes of May 5th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. The minutes are approved. We will now move on to item number 7. This is our consent agenda. So these are items that do not require public comment. They're somewhat a matter of housekeeping legislatively, and we just have a couple things here. First, a proclamation, and then a surplus equipment disposal. So I'll turn this over to Michael Florence.
I think you're probably all familiar with the Just Serve program, so this would be
and I guess this is an initiative by me, so maybe I'll kind of talk about it really quickly. So Just Serve is a platform that allows people to post volunteer charitable efforts and then connect them with people who would like to volunteer and serve. So it's meant to be non-denominational, just across the board. And Just Serve did participate with us this last year in our 9/11 Day of Service. I know that there were some ties there with some of those individuals. So one of the things you might have noticed, they had a table at the League of Cities and Towns convention down in St. George that we all just returned from. And similar to the Healthy Utah designation that we obtained a couple years ago, this is kind of a similar thing. I think it's just an amazing designation to seek after, to say that we are an official Just Serve city. And as you can see, the requirements and this are very simple, and we've already been participating and coordinating with them. Heath puts things up on here periodically of things that are needed in our parks And I don't know if you have any examples or commentary of how Just Serve has been a great platform there for Lindon City thus far.
Yes, just briefly, we've had great success with our service projects on 9/11 for the Worldwide Day of Service. We've posted that throughout a lot of different areas, and a lot of people it's getting to where a lot of people are going there to find service opportunities more than we're having to beg them to find the individual. So it's been successful for us.
Thank you. So essentially, we just need to initially find a hero, a hometown hero, and do a proclamation. And essentially, we're almost there across the finish line because we're already coordinating and collaborating. So they're looking to make this kind of a global thing, encouraging cities to become an official Just Serve city. And so we're excited to be one of the early ones on here in Utah, hopefully. So, Council, I don't know if you have had an opportunity to read in the packet just what we need to make a proclamation and go from there. So I'd love your support on this.
Absolutely. Also looked at the equipment that we're surplusing. Looks great.
If you're ready, I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a motion. Motion by Councilmember Broderick and seconded by Councilmember Stewart. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we just have the truck there. You all had a chance to review that. Wonderful. All right, we're moving on now to item number 8. This is a public hearing regarding a new market farm ordinance. And we'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and then we'll have our staff present and then invite the applicants to come forward.
Motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in the public hearing.
Thanks, Mayor and Council members. The Brian and Chelsea Butler, they're residents, but they're also on our historic commission, and they've made an application to add a new ordinance to our city code that would, for a market farm use. They worked on this ordinance. I helped them refine it a little bit. Then they went to the Planning Commission. I think they spent probably 2 or 3 meetings with the Planning Commission, and then the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval to the City Council. So the Butlers live here at 534 East, 400 North. They've, in the last few years, purchased this property, if it'll click on it, here at 546 East, 400 North. And they have some plans, and they can go into more detail in those in a few minutes, but they would like to put together a small urban farm type business for the community. A few highlights of that ordinance is that it amends 2 sections of our city code. It amends the definition section, or adds a definition of market farm, which is defined as a small-scale urban agricultural use operated for the cultivation of fruits, vegetables, plants, flowers, herbs, and animal products by a homeowner, and may also include educational classes, farm experience, and pick-your-own operations. So it adds that definition. It adds market farm as a conditional use in the R120 zone, so these would only be allowed in the R120. And then kind of a summary of the regulations for a market farm. Again, it's a conditional use in the R120 zone. You have to have a legal on-site residence, so it has to be owner-occupied. The maximum acreage is 2 acres. You have to meet the same setbacks for any structures. So they have talked about possibly in the future tearing this home down and building a barn for their use there, for maybe some retail use or educational classes. That would need to still meet that 30-foot front yard setback.
And that aerial doesn't do justice. Their property is beautiful, what they've done with it. And
Well, you're
it's in
looking at-
progress with a whole bunch of more stuff. I want to know what you're planning. It's all
What are animal products? What can that possibly be?
honey, eggs,
honey,
milk, yeah.
Yeah.
Goat's milk.
They would still need to meet the animal farm requirements that states how many, animals you can have for each on a parcel of property. Any other? Does that answer your question? Any other? Okay. It would allow for a farm stand to be used seasonally. When it's not in use, it needs to be pulled back off the property behind the front setback. Public access would be from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. They could, before or after those hours, still do some general farm maintenance themselves, but the public wouldn't be allowed after 9 p.m. or before 7 a.m. It would allow 2 employees or part-time equivalent to 2 full-time employees. The parking, this is very similar to the parking language that's in for summer education classes in our home occupation ordinance. So you can have up to 14 parking stalls. You could also use what's parking available along your frontage of your property. And then you would be exempt from the pavement requirements. So similar to the Island Dance Studio on 2nd South and Main Street over here, they have a gravel parking lot. You would be allowed to do something similar to that. You can sell farm-related products, but it has to be made by the owner or the residents on site. All inventory must be stored indoors. You're not allowed to have other vendors coming to the site to sell materials. And then the signs would be what's allowed in our residential areas. But it also, limits it to a monument sign, a wall sign, a temporary banner sign, but within those regulations found in our sign code. So we gave you some, language what's found in our general plan. It talks a lot about trying to preserve agricultural area. The Butlers are trying to create more agricultural area, but it's similar. And then, just a couple considerations. Is the proposed mix of on-site and on-street parking sufficient? Buffers, are we adequately buffering it? The Butlers have put up a wall along a lot of their property line that helps buffer it from surrounding neighbors. Are we comfortable with this applying to the R120 zone entirely for a community? Now, things will limit other residents from doing that, such as parking and, agricultural space. And then are the proposed hours of operation adequate for a residential setting? So those are things staff thinks you ought to consider. The Planning Commission those were kind of the main points the Planning Commission considered as well. So with that,
7 to 9 the hours, did I remember right?
Yes.
Yep, 7 to 9.
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and invite Brian and Chelsea forward. And I think the first time I met you all was, 7, 8 years ago. There was like a self-reliance fair at our community center. And these two had videos and examples of things that they were just doing on a traditional residential lot, growing food with their yard. And it was amazing. I was blown away. And they've just kind of taken this passion and done more and more, and it's pretty phenomenal. I think this is quintessential what Lindon's about. A little bit of country and so anyway. Glad that you've been able to hammer out all these things. I know over the years there's been some little bit of growing pains with, figuring out what you want this to become and finding something that's could be something that makes sense as an ordinance across the city. So thank you for your time and patience working with the staff.
Thank you.
All right.
It's been learning and a great experience. Learning how city government works, and all the zoning stuff.
Lovely.
Learn way more about city zoning than I ever thought I'd know.
All right. Council,
Michael,
go ahead.
I
Go
guess
ahead and
just
share with us.
anything you want us to share, or just answer questions, or?
I think you ought to share your kind of dream of what you would want to do.
That's you.
Okay, so I'm Chelsea, and I run the Sunnyside Urban Farm. And primarily, I'm selling wholesale flowers, cut flowers. They're specially cut flowers for wedding event florists with the Utah Flower Market, which is just a huge honor, actually, to have a local farmer here in Lindon representing the Utah production of cut flowers. There are 14 growers in the Utah Flower Market, and we sell to things like the Governor's Gala, big wedding events up at the Capitol, and as a collective, because in our urban growing spaces, not one farmer can grow enough quantity to supply the demand that is needed for these big events, and the push has really become with these florists and events to use local. So the governor really wanted to have local flowers represented at the gala. And so they were purchased at the Utah Flower Market, and our flowers could be represented there. And so it's just primarily that's what I do. I grow flowers for this wholesale market. And then I also open it up for retail opportunities where people can buy bouquet subscriptions within the community. And I have classes where I will teach about caring for your dahlias, or how to dig and overwinter and store your dahlia tubers, or just little educational classes on how to make floral arrangements, or all kinds of things, all related to flowers and yoga.
And then I would just say, as a helper, observant, and farmhand, because it's really Chelsea's endeavor, the part about it that I love is the community connection. We turn a beautiful space into a space that doesn't just produce flowers, but gathers people. Whether it's like a small scale event or a young woman and her mother that come to pick flowers because they want to do their own bouquets. There's something really special about flowers and beautification and returning a parcel into agriculture that has people stop. And when we're out there working, it's very rare for somebody to walk by without stopping and gawking and just saying, "Can you tell me more about this? Because it's so beautiful," or what you're doing. And we don't even feel like it's reached its potential or started to be what we think it is. And there's still a lot of improvements we want to make. But we love the idea of creating a gathering place in a community that's based around a more agrarian, rural, agricultural feel, even if it is on a small scale, and prove that, as we talk about like housing crises and access to land being more and more difficult, the agricultural spaces are becoming rarer and rarer. And when we moved into Lindon almost 20 years ago, there was a lot more open space. And it's really exciting and fulfilling to prove a business model in an ordinance where we can return a little bit of an ever more urbanized Lindon into country. And so we're really excited about it and love what we've done so far, and think we're just getting started.
I love it. I guess my only comment is, a lot of time with these new ordinances, you're kind of the guinea pig. And so I would just encourage you, and I hope I'm not being too forward in reading the room, that this is something we're all pretty excited about. But as you move forward, as you find some of those unintended consequences, you've done the research, you've done all the hard work, please don't hesitate to kind of pass those along to us as we cross each other in the community. And but we appreciate you being the guinea pig, and I agree. I think this feels about as Lindon of an ordinance as you can find, and so we appreciate you.
I think I'm in the same boat, and I would just ask if you've had a chance to survey your neighbors, because obviously you bring a few, it's not a lot, 14, slots is not a ton, but still you're creating, some traffic in there. How do your neighbors feel about it? Are they excited about it?
I think most of them love it, because we're taking a lot that I would say just wasn't, it was the elderly couple that lived next door, and we took care of their land for probably the last decade of their life, just cutting their lawn, mowing it, keeping the weeds down and stuff. But they love that we're taking this otherwise very normal lot and turning it into something that they just love, watching the different seasons and how the flowers come and grow, and love what we're doing with it. Haven't had a single complaint or concern.
I think the essence of what we're talking about here is small scale. It's not very different than a mom who's running a preschool or a daycare in her home, as far as the volume of people that might come and the impact. So
yeah, I'll highlight
home-based business.
One kind of data point. So Chelsea, during growing season, which, you know, you got 6 months of the year roughly, she sells at the wholesale market. They're taking product to market at the station in Pleasant Grove, which is where the Utah Cut Flower Market gathers with all the different growers. Aside from that, like this summer, I think total we 8 events. So we kind of average like one event every month and a half, and typical event would run for 90 minutes to 2 hours. So even, I mean, it's not like there's a constant presence like you would have with a daycare or like pool lessons or those other things. They're very kind of far and few between, but we do like providing the experiences, even though most of the kind of revenue model is built off of the flowers themselves and being able to sell them at market. Those experiences where the community comes together are really cool. Like somebody from the community that will come by and be like, can I do a watercolor class under the walnut trees by the flower farm? And people can go pick a bouquet and learn how to, you know, connect with neighbors and people in the community and do a watercolor class. Or they'll do, somebody else will, in the community will say, oh, I love that. Can I do pressed flowers? Can I come do a class and teach how to press flowers and do different things? So there's a lot of different community involvement, but it's definitely not at the regularity or scale that you would see in some of these other urban, like residential zoned business endeavors.
Great. And just to add one more commentary on that is our envision for this endeavor is really to keep the classes and the workshops and the experiences at a very small scale, so it's more of an intimate gathering. And for the events that we've hosted, we've been able to keep all of the traffic mostly off street. So we haven't really been an impact to neighbors. So we are planning for where that traffic will go, but there's a big blacktop area that we've been using as parking space, and then a dirt path that people have been parking on. And so we just always encourage people to use those spaces as get off the street. So
Sounds awesome.
Somebody that goes up and down 400 North by this place probably 6 times a day. It's very nice and non-intrusive to traffic in my experience.
Yeah, and I drive up there all the time for my kids in Out Canyon, so it's cool to see the walls you're putting up. I'm like, goodness gracious, I've never seen that. It's really beautiful. Our family has only minorly dabbled in anything to do with very informal gardening, and so it's more harder than it looks, I'm sure. And adding that all, I'm excited about what you're doing, and I just have questions because I'm new at this. And so most of these will be pointed to Mike, but if you have any insights, I would love to hear. Because to me, this is a question of should we formalize a home-based business type in Lindon, specifically to the R120? And the nature of this business, it has a definition and everything. But really, it's like, should we formalize this type of business? So my question is what prevented them from being able to do what they want to do based off of current ordinances? Because I heard you referencing summer class, that was comparable. So I'm just curious what needed to be changed in order to allow this to come to fruition.
Yeah, so really our home occupation ordinance is specific. Like it allows summer education classes, animal farm assisted therapy, and that's about it. Aquatics lessons,
like
yeah.
Swimming lessons.
Those are kind of the 3 outside of a building or, you know, outside of a home. Those are kind of the only 3 that we really allow. The others all have to be within the home or an accessory building. And I think just when you're having more public come, more vehicles, we thought this is probably better set up as more of a commercial use than a home occupation. And so if you're teaching classes, you're having pick events, you know, that's really is more of a commercial type use. So we tried to put a commercial ordinance together that still was sensitive to the residential area and try to incorporate some of those home occupation type things like the parking.
Okay. Yeah, because when I think about the notion of having the home-based business ordinances in Lindon, as reasonable and restrictive as they are, it's, you know, to maintain this peace, I guess, in your neighborhood. So the difference is the current ordinance, you said it's similar to the summer education, so the 14 parking, you'd reference that. So that is similar to the summer education courses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so that part is not unique.
Yeah, cool. I can shed a little light on this too. I think we felt like when we first applied, like it would be a much simpler, straightforward
Yeah.
process. We'd apply under a normal home occupation. But then there's like little nuances where we're not actually in the home. We're outside of the
right
home.
next to it. Yeah.
And it just felt like we were kind of trying to maybe fit a square peg in a round hole was kind of one. Like it just didn't quite fit. And we kind of had these parts of this where we just weren't talking like the same language. And the other thing is, I think by having a formal market farm ordinance, we might actually get more of these urban farms in Lindon. We're kind of, we create a more curated path to others that want to do some sort of small urban farm and local food production or whatever. Just highlights that there's a more formal path.
Yeah, because that was the other question I wondered about is like, these ordinances are born from pain points typically. It's like you came up to something, had something great, and you're like, what do you mean? It seems reasonable. Why isn't this happening? And so it's done with you as a case study. And then I played a thing in my head, and you said, Mike, that it's conditional, right? So you'll have to go back and apply for everything. What would be the elements of the ordinance that would impinge or prevent parking? Is that the primary one? Because I couldn't see if they had to have a minimum. Like I live on a half acre, so I'm in that R120, and we have garden boxes. So would parking be the one thing that would prevent me from doing that? So I'm just trying to think of how big this could get. Like I think of 400 North, you've got the Danes and the Ruths, and I mean all these homes that have an acre plus that they could do this. And I thought, what if everyone was like, I have cucumbers and I will sell them to the public. What would it look like? I was like, well, that's not a bad thing, having everyone have garden space. But I'm just trying to get a sense of scale. There's thousands of lots with a half acre. Is it parking? That's the big thing that's going to drive people not being able to do this?
Yeah, because farm stands are exempted basically from our zoning code. So you can have a farm,
Something
anybody
like that.
can have a farm stand. And so it's really parking. This would allow for like a retail use too, where they could make products and sell them on site. They also, a couple other differences, the home occupation ordinance allows one employee or equivalent.
Right,
or
this is
part-time
two.
equivalent. This would be two. Also, the home occupation ordinance says you can't have any external evidence of the home occupation, nor any exterior displays of goods. And so having cut flowers outside, you really,
Goods are on display.
those are all your goods, and
It
so.
allows a sign.
Yeah.
It allows a sign, so.
Yeah, and so that was kind of the things we were running up against is why we went this direction.
Gotcha. And it's 14, what does that mean, 14 vehicles? It's like they count them and then they turn people away when it hits 15?
That's their responsibility.
It's like self-monitored?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of maximize, it's like you said, they have these curated, more
Little
personal
classes.
class and trainings versus turning it into.
I mean, the neighbors will let us know if there's a parking problem.
Some of these questions also come because I grew up across the street from Wadley Farms before it was Wadley Farm. So my family experienced what a farm turned into multiple use looks like, and where it's at now is so different than where it was. And they've done so much to make it very non-intrusive in the community over the years. And at the beginning, it was not the case. I mean, it was very much everywhere. And so when I got thinking about this, there's not really enforcement to it. So it is like structural, what would lead it to making sure that everything was okay. And it sounds like you've got a plan that would be submitted for the parking, which is great. There was a question about the buffers. I didn't know what your thoughts on those were. I mean, you have those beautiful walls coming up that I think would serve as the buffer on the sides of your house. So that seems to be beautiful and sufficient, but did you have any other plans for buffers?
No, just those walls.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Kind of, I mean, because we have the church property behind us, kind of worked with them on the design of the walls and so forth. And then on the property to the west, we have that easement street that's the little access road to the church. So there's like plenty of buffer over there. And then on the far side, we still have that kind of original historic home.
Yeah.
And we're still not sure what we'll do, if anything, right now.
That's cool. And I guess just a comment on the hours. I didn't bristle personally, but I've heard from residents in different parts of the city about these time constraints. So I've been surprised at how sensitive some folks are to time of day. And based off of their comments, they might read 7 a.m. is a little too early for them. But that's just one piece of feedback that I've received from people just about things going on outside. But I personally don't look at that necessarily as that, but I have heard people having issues. They're like, why is it still going on and it's at this hour? That's too early for them. So, but just looking at these bullet points, those were the questions and comments I had.
I think some of the activities this calls out for are not things that would be
Very loud.
a noise issue. Is that fair to say?
Kind of like, I mean, I hear you on the 7 a.m. one. It's most of these events would take place in months where the sun's up early.
Yeah,
6:30, and so it's kind of nice to get out there while it's cool.
Of course.
Kind of certain times of days to pick flowers.
Yeah,
and we're
very
not-
seasonally.
Yeah.
All right, great. Council, any further questions or comments?
Just, this did go to the planning commission, but that's been almost,
a year.
Yeah. Jake leaned over a minute ago and said, how's the planning commission on this? And I'm, well, but I do remember that session almost a year ago, and I feel like they were favorable. Again, like Mayor said, it fit the Lindon, the Lindon. Yeah, Lindon spirit. There were a lot of conversations about certain details. I think that Brian was trying to figure out and piece down, but aside from those discussions, they were very favorable from what I recall.
Yep. Yeah, I remember the struggles with bathrooms and things like that when you were going through that. That was hard. One thing, too, that I just wondered about, and I don't know if there's anything to put in here, it's like the farm, I don't remember the technical name, like the Wadley Farm, Walker Farm aspect of that.
Commercial farm.
Commercial farm, thank you. Those properties have become, well, not equally, but less farm and more other things. And so is there any lessons to be learned from that with the drafting of this ordinance? Because it seems like once those got locked in, it was grandfathered and then hedged around. And so I think this is looking very reasonable, and I think what Jake said about lessons learned makes sense, but any lessons that we could carry forward from that? I think the language here has to be grown, produced on land. I mean, here, I think it's pretty good, but that just gave me a thought when I think about those other properties.
I think with those two properties, it seems like agriculture is not maybe at the forefront. Those other things have to help support the agriculture.
That's right.
And they're required to have 40% of the property in an agricultural use, but I think keeping agriculture at the forefront is always important.
Yeah. There was a percentage there in that ordinance. Is there any?
There's not in this one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smaller scale, so it's like, what do you?
I think if you look at the uses that they're allowed, they are, the event center use, the
bed and breakfast. I mean, they've got this huge list
and
that's grown.
This is a more confined list that speaks to the agricultural elements quite more. So it's not opening the door to becoming an event center.
Did the commercial farm zone start out with all those uses?
Yes, that was the intent.
We amended them about 2 years ago to allow the bed and breakfast.
Yeah, but that was the impetus, was to bring in a little bit larger scale commercial uses in conjunction with the agriculture. And I think this is not the intent of this here.
Yeah, because the agriculture, like you said, that spins in our narrative, it's the thing that if everyone had this green space, that'd be beautiful. But if you were making widgets, and that was the home-based business we were trying to expand, I don't think this would be having the same kind of conversation, and so to see drift from the beautiful use to something less beautiful, that's the one thing I'd think about if we needed to put any fail-safes in it to ensure that because it's beautiful and you're doing it, it's just a question of in the future.
I would imagine the fail-safe is the fact that it's a conditional use. It's not going to be.
Is that renewable, like every year?
Not going to be.
Not so the planning commission would review it one time with their site plan approval. They'd put conditions on the business license, but then if they feel like it's expanded outside that, then they can rehear it.
One of the things that, if I understand, Nicole, that might be an assurance is the commercial farm, it's kind of vested with the property.
Yeah.
This is not vesting their plot with the county,
Right, it's not an
parcel map.
agricultural
It's just a
use
a
of it.
business use.
Makes sense. Sounds awesome. Hope it goes well for you.
Great discussion. This is a public comment period time, so if there's any public comment, we would invite that now.
Seeing none, I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. We'll bring this back to you, council, for a motion, or if there's any further discussion.
I'm happy to make a motion unless somebody wants to make some discussion. I move to approve ordinance 2025-5-0, allowing market farms as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. With the motion on the table, any further clarifications for anyone? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it is unanimous. We're very excited. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
And good luck.
Okay, we are now going to move on to item number 9, which is also a public hearing to amend the Lindon City General Plan Land Use Map. And this is a request by Todd Train with Millhaven Development, and Mr. Florence will also give us the background here after we open the public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are in the public hearing. Thank you.
All right. And Jeremy Ackley is here representing this tonight. So. So, Millhaven Development, Jeremy Ackley, they've made application to amend the general plan and the next item as well, which would be the zoning map. I'm going to cover both of those items in this presentation. Just historically, if you look at the commercial general zoning along State Street, quite a few properties have this split zoning between residential and commercial. You can see a few of them right here. There's 5 or 6. You think that also the Thornton property, it also has a split zoning. Under the zoning map here, if you look at this property that Mr. Ackley has purchased, outlined in the blue, while it's residential R120 and general commercial, what our zoning ordinance says is that the most restrictive zoning applies. So this entire property is actually zoned residential. When we adopted our general plan update in 2023, sorry. What we did is we went through the general plan and we tried to have the general plan follow property lines. And so we amended it and we took in this full property and made it general commercial designation as part of the general plan amendment. The zoning hasn't changed yet, and that's something on this property we'll discuss tonight. But so that this entire parcel is currently general commercial. What they're asking for is to amend it so that this portion is residential and then the rest of it is commercial. So if we go back to these property lines, this parcel here would be all residential. And then one change from the Planning Commission, with the Planning Commission, we follow this arrow. The Commission heard the proposal that it would go all the way over for both of these 2 residential parcels to be residential. The purpose is that they want to expand these 2 lots. This one isn't ready yet to be expanded, the one in the blue. And so what we're asking is that the map be amended to just go behind this property at 158. So that's kind of the whole purpose behind this is for the lot at 158 to expand, to increase from almost a ½ acre to a 1 acre lot. Let me go back, let me go to the parcel map. It's a little more clear. So Mr. Ackley owns this property here at 158. He'd like to expand that to take up this property and this parcel here.
It's actually already, yeah, on that little piece as well.
Yep, this one and this property. So the zoning map would look, sorry, so both the general plan map and the zoning map would look like this proposal here. We asked Mr. Ackley to put together just a concept plan to show that commercial could still have a viable use on there. So if the zoning map in the future, when 128 does decide to expand, they'll have to come back to you, go through the same process. But if this was the future, in yellow, the future boundary line between commercial and residential, this is kind of what it would look like. You'd still have between over 500 feet in depth for commercial, and this is just a conceptual commercial use that could go on that property and still be sufficiently parked with landscaping on that far west end. So go back to. So again, this first proposal would be amending the general plan. The next application would be amending the zoning to follow this same outline, where again, this area is residential and the red would be the commercial properties. So do you have any questions for myself or Mr. Ackley?
I think it's worth mentioning, we did have some residents that came, right?
We did.
And I think all of their concerns and whatnot were addressed, and I think they were comfortable and happy with the answers and responses that they heard.
Yeah, I think they were worried that some commercial use was going to go in right now, and that's not the intent. It's just to create the boundaries. And I should back up too. The Planning Commission did approve a plat amendment for the property at 158 to expand, conditioned upon the City Council approving this general plan and zone change. They were the residents on 40 South. They were concerned that a commercial use was going in right now. They are concerned about the narrowness of 40 South and how that would accommodate a commercial use. That'll need to be a discussion, in the future when a commercial use is proposed.
The fruit stand is beloved. There.
Hey, the fruit stand's still there.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want this to become a market farm use, here you go.
It's actually too big.
Yeah, it's more than 2 acres, yeah. What were the residents hoping the city would do in response to their concern?
They had some questions about, at some point Jeremy will dedicate property and the 40 South and his area will be widened. They're concerned because there is no curb, gutter, and sidewalk on 40th South. They're concerned about semi trucks coming up from Geneva and up to State Street through this area. There was some things we just don't have answers for them right now. We're going to have to figure out how that works when this commercial does go in.
Gotcha.
Do you have some commercial ideas percolating, or is it more about the residential aggregation right now on those lots?
Yeah, mostly right now it's just about the lots that we can make.
Jeremy, if you'll get a little closer to the microphone.
Okay. It's just too relaxed. So yeah, right now we just want to make sure that those lots, we can get those and record those and have them be basically, I think it's going from a half acre to 0.91 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I love the orchard actually, because I live right there, right? Mm-hmm. When I saw it go up for sale, I actually wanted to buy it so that I could control what happened as a neighbor. That being said, I wish I had enough money to just leave it an orchard and make it a family market or whatever. You know what I mean? But, it's, yeah. So, as far as concepts, you saw like a commercial concept based on what we would end up after we make those residential lots. We could potentially do between a 50 and 60,000 square foot building, right? And I personally was like, I don't want to see a gas station go in there as a neighbor, right? Like I didn't want a gas station. I didn't want a car lot because of light pollution. I didn't want restaurants because of noise at the end. You know, event centers. I think we have enough of those. But I just thought, as a resident and as a neighbor, it would be better to have office hours and like have a normal office building. And I have a lot of friends that have businesses that would love to come in and do that. And I was just saying, well, I'm limiting it to 2 stories, right? Because my view is right out that door. And so like from I know obviously it doesn't matter what my view is from my house, but it does actually block 7-Eleven. And so I'm like, okay, I'd rather see that than the lights from 7-Eleven and the car lots that are on both sides of it. And but that being said, I've got other neighbors that are like, hey, if we could keep it like kind of similarly a farm that we could bring kids to and basically do a educational thing, would you sell it to us? And I said, yeah, I totally would, under the understanding that whoever buys it, when they get sick of like basically donating all this money or whatever to this cause, that they can't build a car lot, a convenience store, a 3-story building, you know, like all those types of things. So as of right now, that's the only concept I personally have, like as far as like a building, an office type building. Not saying like that's what we need, but I think for residents, they're not going to be there all
Lower
night.
impact.
Yeah, and I can control the light pollution with the types of.
Well,
you know,
your current
lamps.
building on State Street is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
We really appreciate what you've come and the quality of the craftsmanship.
Thank
and
you.
the landscaping. It's very nice.
Thank you. So, again, just want to, my concern is more as a neighbor, because our goal is to, that lot that we're expanding, we're going to hold on to that until, you know, like our kids are in a different life stage, and we may want a different house, and we really like the area, so.
Well, we do have a cottage ordinance. You can build a cottage for you and let the kids live in the big house.
Let's do that. My daughter's already claimed the house. She told my oldest son, like, I got dibs on the house. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Is this daughter?
17.
Okay.
But, yeah, so, but right now, the intent is just to delineate where commercial and residential is, and to basically have, you know, the lots be bigger. Like Michael was saying, we did change it a little bit from planning commission, just because when we realized these guys aren't ready to go to expand their lot, it actually hinders the current lot, because it's like, oh wait, if they never went through with it, then we're kind of taking ourselves out of the ankle, because we're like, okay, now it's residentially zoned, even though 95% of it is commercial. So, but the intent is to do that, and they want to buy that. They actually are the ones that want to maybe do the educational farm.
Well, you probably heard about the hubbub in Orem over the Wilkerson farms. Have you followed that?
I haven't.
It just got voted. They rezoned it, and people are up in arms. It's going away.
It's going
this
away.
week. Yeah. Yeah, it was a controversial issue there in Orem. Losing another agricultural, beloved activity place for kids like you're mentioning. So maybe you could bring it to Lindon. We'd love it.
I mean, that's what they're wanting to do, because they border that, right? So I'm like, hey, more power to you, but I just have to make sure that whoever does it is not going to do what I'm trying to block right now, but in 5 or 6 or 7 years. So.
And the commercial area right now is about 3.1 acres. Under this proposal, so under this current zoning, you know, this pink area, you're about 3.1 acres. Under the proposal with how it is here, you're at 3.4 acres. if the resident one, this resident 128 expands, you're going to about 3 acres. So you're kind of dealing back and forth with about a 0.4 of an acre in there, but you still got a good commercial depth. Jeremy's actively trying to work with this property owner to, you know, kind of get more frontage along there as well.
See what
So
they're doing, yeah. But people think their properties are worth a lot.
This one.
Well, you brought the public with you today. A
Yep.
lot of people opposed. I
Lots of
imagine,
public
based on
clamor
it.
here. All right, I have to say it though, any public comment, this would be the time.
Seeing none, I'll motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Back to you, council, then, for any further questions or discussion of staff or the applicant in this matter.
There's no further discussion.
I'd entertain a motion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve ordinance 2025-3-0, amending the Lindon City General Plan land use map from general commercial to low-density residential as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Looks unanimous. All right. Wonderful. Okay, we'll move on quickly to the other item related to this.
I'll motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, and just for the record, we are on item number 10 of the agenda. All in favor to open a public hearing?
Aye.
Take it away.
We've already heard,
Yeah,
so
we've-
seeing no
yeah.
public comment on this item, I'm going to go ahead and motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Go ahead. Steve, you got it.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Stewart to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and just as a matter of course, for those that might be watching, we are moving from the land use map, general commercial, and then now we're moving to the general commercial zoning map. So
Yeah, you can see on your screen here, this shows how the zoning map will be laid out. You can see how it's squaring off the R120 parcel, and then shows where the commercial general will be located.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Jeremy, incredible job that you've done back there. That we regularly have developers come here and say, oh, if you're close to State Street, you've got to go high density. You have to. There's no way to do it otherwise. And we point them your direction, man. That is an incredible neighborhood. You've done an excellent job. So.
and Dr. Thompson did all my kids' teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And now
beautiful
we,
properties there.
and now we have the BYU basketball coach living over there too.
There you
so.
go.
You to thank for it. I'll move to approve ordinance 2025-4-0, amending the Lindon City R120 and general commercial zoning map boundary as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. Any further discussions on the motion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, sails through. That is unanimous. Thank you so much. We look forward to
Thanks for your patience.
seeing what's coming forward. All right, we are now on item number 11. This is a public hearing regarding our budget. So I will invite our finance director, Kristen Aaron, here to present. And this is also a public hearing, so I'd entertain a motion for
I
that.
make a motion to open a public hearing.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Broderick.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Stewart. All in favor to open the public hearing?
Aye.
Here I am again.
See you a lot this time of year.
Yep, the next draft of our budget is not the final yet. Got some changes from, oh, do you know what? Wait, which one are we in? Are we in the new budget or the old budget? The budget amendment?
Yes, we're on the budget amendment, so
yeah.
the 2025 to 26.
Let me present the right thing then. Okay, so budget amendment. Okay. So a lot of things that are changing, getting updated through all the activities through the year. And so And I've got notes on these, and so I don't want, like I said, it's a lot, and I don't want to have to take up a lot of time going over this. So is there anything in particular that you guys have a question on?
Either we're all happy or too tired.
All right. Oh.
As I've gone through.
Okay. So I do want to point out on number 5, note number 5. So doing a transfer this year from the general fund to the road fund of $1 million. And that is just to help out the road fund in general. It could be for the purchase of a property, but anyway, the general fund was coming up against the ceiling of how much fund balance that we could have. And in years past, when I budget too closely to that, then things don't always get spent or extra revenue comes in. Oh, I know that's a really hard problem to have, but then we would get written up for having too much fund balance. And so doing this transfer in this fiscal year rather than next fiscal year is going to help both funds. So,
something I'd just like to mention to council, we had the Public Works Department present the proposed road treatments for this next year, and a road that I would really love for us to potentially add on to in the next fiscal budget, if it's possible, is the 135 West, which is from 4th North going down past our main city center park, and then where it comes onto State Street there on the corner of Beans and Brews. However, that road is not as simple as just, doing the pavement. There's a master planned trail and different engineering and things that would need to happen. But so that's something top of mind for me. If we have extra funds, would love to tackle that. And so in our engineering meeting with Van, we talked about that with staff to go ahead and start maybe preparing some of the engineering issues and scoping that out a little bit to kind of prepare the runway. But if we have some bids come in cheaper or we have excess funds, that's something I'd love to amend and tackle here sooner than later. So just a heads up. Any other questions for anyone? All right, this is a public hearing, so we'd invite the public. If there's anyone online, I don't know if anyone ever raises a hand. We haven't had that happen yet.
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Broderick. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Jacobs to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so this is an amendment, so we would entertain a motion if there's any other questions for staff here on this. Otherwise, we could proceed. And the sample motion's on page 67 of your packet.
Is this the same item, both the amendment and the adoption?
It could be on the same resolution.
They are.
Okay.
Proposed and the amendments are on one, and then the next
Okay.
one you've got pulled up right there. It looks like it's the RDA one.
Yes.
I don't have a resolution pulled up.
So it's the proposed budget for next year.
Okay, so let me present the
budget.
proposed.
So then she'll present the
yeah,
proposed
so-
now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. We're missing Adam, keeping us on track. Okay.
We feel you.
Yes.
We need you.
Okay. So now talking about next year's budget. It's a total of $46.4 million, and the economy's doing pretty well, pretty resilient. We're on track for sales tax projections, and so just looking at that, plowing ahead, this is the citywide revenues, $36.8 million. And you can see all the different areas where the revenue comes into the city. A lot of it is utility charges and taxes, and those go into different funds. Fee schedule changes are mainly utility rate increases, and the water rate increases 5% for the base and 4% for usage. Sewer is 7% for the base and 10% for the usage. Stormwater is 4%. I want to point out, garbage and recycling, we're not increasing. We're going to absorb the increases from both Republic Services, who collect the garbage, and North Point Solid Waste Transfer Station that takes our garbage. Then in Anderson Farms area, the groundwater utility will increase 4%, and the metered secondary water will increase 4%. And so that's what those are the percentages, and then this is what the rates will look like. There's different rates for water based on meter size and where they are in the city, if there's pumping costs to get them up past the Murdoch or North Union Canal and then into the foothills. And the sewer rates, yes.
Can you go back up?
Yes.
This is culinary.
Yes.
But the North Union Canal isn't tied to culinary.
No,
Is that
it's
just
a landmark, that's
just
all.
landmark. That's what I was thinking.
Right, yeah. Okay, and so then there's the sewer, storm drain, groundwater pumping, and the metered secondary water, and what those changes look like. Any questions on the fees changing on these utility rates? Okay.
All right. There's no
And,
okay. Anything else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, okay. And then looking at expenditures, that's how citywide expenditures are broken out. Personnel, operations, and capital throughout the city. Almost $10 million for personnel. Almost 16 million each for capital and operations. And then talking about personnel, we're recommending a 2.5% cost of living allowance increase, and that would be effective July 5th. And I'm going kind of quickly because these are things we've already talked about, just making note of that. And then a 2.6% increase for merit, which would be effective January 3rd, 2026. And we will actually bring that back. It's in the budget, but we wouldn't make it effective until after we close the audit, the financial statements for this fiscal year, see how the economy is going in the next 6 months. And let's see. So the cost of the COLA and the merit increase is $388,000, and then you can see how it's divided into the different funds. Then we did do a salary study, and there's 17 positions which are affecting 23 employees that would be moving to higher ranges, but then going back steps, so they wouldn't themselves be getting a big raise. They just have more potential. And it's just aligning the midpoint of those positions to the correct range. So the cost of that with benefits is $30,160. Then with insurance premiums, our medical insurance premium is increasing 7.1%, with dental remaining the same, so combined increase would be 6.9%, and I say would be, but we're making some changes. And so the employee participation would increase from 3 to 5% for medical premiums, from 0 to 5% for dental premiums for employee and employee plus one, and then from 50% to 5%. So that is a decrease for dental premiums. So it sounds like a huge percentage increase, but the premiums for dental aren't that much. So. It's just aligning it so that instead of having single and double not paying anything and family paying half, it's everyone's paying 5% medical and dental. And so with those benefit changes, the increase to the city would be 6.2%. for a total cost of, increase of $72,585, and broken out where most of that is in the general fund where most of our personnel costs are. Then retirement is overall decreasing, different tiers and different types of employee retirement are at different rates, but overall everything's decreasing. Any questions on personnel?
Can I just go back one slide? You made the comment, and this is just out of curiosity, you made a comment on the employee plus one, but the slide actually says plus spouse. Do we have a plan that's really just plus one that isn't a spouse, or is the plus always a spouse?
I think we do. Is it just plus? Okay, so it's just a spouse.
Not
so
like a domestic partner.
Okay. I'm looking at you because you would know. Okay.
Just curious.
Any other questions? Okay, going on to capital. General fund capital expenditures are $1.9 million. Most of that is for the police fleet vehicles. And those are on a lease purchase agreement. And then we sell back the trucks that we have in stock and then get new ones. Then there's $353,000 for public works equipment, $252,000 for 6 fleet vehicles in different departments in the general fund, and $250,000 for emergency fuel storage tanks at both up here in this campus and then down at Public Works, and then $32,000 for arena retaining wall. And then the capital facilities fund has $1.3 million for cemetery expansion. And then for dedicated or restricted funds, there's $2.9 million in the road fund. $1.9 million is for road improvements and $1 million for property purchase for a new road. And then the RDA is $325,000 for property purchase. And with park impact fees, $2.1 million. And with most of that going for the property purchase. And that's $1.8 million also includes a transfer from the park tax of $500,000. So just to say that the park tax is also helping with this property purchase for a park. And then $250,000 for shade at Pheasantbrook Park. And so those are governmental funds. And then for the enterprise funds, the water fund, $4.7 million, with most of that going towards the new well house and the water line connections to the well. $45,000 for improvements to secondary water system. For sewer fund, $580,000. Most of that going to rebuild 16 sewer manholes on Geneva Road, with $100,000 going towards sewer equipment. Almost $1.5 million in stormwater, with about $1.265 going to the main ditch piping, and that is expected to be offset by a $750,000 grant.
So that makes that just a $500,000.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And then $200,000 for property purchase for stormwater detention with the park and the road. And then in the recreation fund, $550,000 for aquatic center improvements. $350,000 is the is the pirate ship rebuild, and then
It's not the $120,000 in the pool line.
That's what I was just thinking. Is I remember talking about that, but I didn't get it clarified before doing this.
I think that 120 is in the 350.
You're right. I believe you're right. So we can decrease that budget by 120,000. So and you'll see that reflected in the final budget.
Good catch.
And then replacing the flow rider pumps, $80,000.
Just kind of a secondary thing, this is a different file you sent to us. Does this get posted on where all of our staff reports and things go?
I do not know. Because
Well, it seems like wherever we put or post the city council staff report, seems like this is a big part of that.
Agreed.
All right. Then, looking at the fund balance, we would be ending the 2026 fiscal year in the general fund with a projected fund balance of $3.1 million, and that's 25% of our revenues. And the state says that we can have a maximum of 35%. It used to be 25, so that'd be pushing it. But and I'm not sure how to make this bigger. Oh, that's easy. Okay. There you go. Okay, so.
So Kristen, I know we have a max of 35%. I'm just curious what you consider like a dangerous level to be.
So before I transferred out the $1 million, it was 32%. So that was a little too close for my comfort.
I'm talking about a low end. Like
on the low end?
Yeah, where
I
would you
would not
feel
know.
Like, I know we don't want to find out, but I'm just kind of.
Right.
Hey, don't jinx us.
It is.
It's
No,
not a problem we want.
Can't do that. Everything's in good hands.
Right, yeah. So like Van said, state law is 5%.
Okay. That's a piece
Yeah,
of
I would start getting a little uncomfortable at 15, I think,
okay.
because I've just never been that low.
Yeah, no, that's good. I just can appreciate the extra step that you all do that you have in this process is really nice, because to be able to look at this and think back on all the discussions we've had, and then to see it flow so nicely in here and still have another time to look at it and finalize. I really appreciate that, and appreciate the clarity, and thank you.
Yep. All right, so are there any questions?
So the slide that talked about revenue and the slide that talked about expenses, expenses are 41.7, revenue is 36.8. Someone's going to ask those details. Do you want to just speak to those?
So those numbers are net of use of fund balance or appropriation to fund balance and transfers. And so those are what's used to make them balance and equal. So yes, we have more expenditures than we do revenue. And that's why we have fund balances, is to save up for when we have these big projects like the cemetery, like the pool renovations, the stormwater piping, the roads.
Is there any new bonding with this?
There is in the water fund.
And how much is that bond amount? Was it 4.7, the project there? Or?
And I believe the bonding is about $4 million. So let me. Sorry, I have it right in front of me, so I can just look at it pretty quick.
If that's something that could be put with it too, to say, hey, we're going to bond.
Okay, yeah.
Proposed bond, I think that should be disclosed as well.
Okay, right. And you know, just having it in the budget doesn't make it happen. It would definitely come to the city council, because we'd have to, it is a public thing to bond.
But just the intent would be to bond, and it could change.
Yep.
And then another piece of the puzzle, correct me if I'm wrong, on the expenditures is on the truck leases. Don't we have, from an accounting standpoint, we count that whole thing in there, but we're not paying for that. So if that makes sense, is it about $1 million of that?
So for
deficit?
the truck, for the police, and for so with the police lease, we're accounting for the full purchase of those trucks.
Yeah, so that there's $1,074,000 of that deficit that is just accounting silliness. You know what I mean? We're not paying the full $1 million for those trucks, and yet we have to show that as a full expense.
Right. And in addition to that, we're also paying off the previous lease. But again, it's one of those accounting things. So we also have the revenues to offset some of that of like the lease revenue, the proceeds from the lease to purchase the new fleet. And then we also have partial revenue of selling back the trucks we currently have to pay off the old lease. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, anything else?
Just on this last line right here, you can see the percent change. You can see how the fund balances are being used. So there, and most of that is for projects, but you can see in what funds it's going down. So in the general fund, it's going down 12%. In the RDA, it's going down 60%. But that's using a big chunk of the money where, you can see that percentage is a little misleading because it's a big percent, but not as big of a dollar amount. So just, lots of projects that we've been saving up for to get done.
Do you know which road projects these numbers cover?
I don't.
That's fine.
I'm sure I have an email with them on it, but
that's fine.
I don't have a quick reference.
You're good. No worries.
Any other questions?
Any public comments?
Actually, so Adam is watching homesick. He really should be taking care of himself, but he's so dedicated. Anyway, he texted me. I think just as a matter of course, we should probably follow, even though we are combining two resolutions here into one, let's go ahead and go through the formal procedure, open the public comment, and then have a moment.
It's two
and then
different
close.
resolutions? Okay.
Well, it was kind of a combined package here, but we already closed the public hearing, so.
So open another one?
Yes, please.
I motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor to open the public hearing?
Aye.
All right. Is your presentation completed then?
It is.
For us tonight. All right. We will now invite anyone to make a public comment regarding this proposed budget amendment for the fiscal year 2025-26.
Seeing none, I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Stewart to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
We need to separate these two, or are we okay to do them
I
together?
think we were all right to make the resolution as presented on page 67.
Brian's giving me the green light. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I move to approve Resolution 2025-11-R, approving the fiscal year 2025-26 proposed budget and amending the fiscal year 2025 budget as presented.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, that is unanimous.
The note of that 120.
Yeah.
All right.
In the day when I was the only one sitting there, there was a lot of pressure when you'd say, open to the public, because everybody would look at me.
It's your spot in the agenda.
Public. All right.
Do we need to recess? I'll move to recess,
yes.
or no? The Lindon City Council meeting convene as the Lindon City RDA.
Really quickly, though, before, do we have any update on whether we need to do the closed session tonight?
Yeah, if we can just it will take us like 3 minutes to go into the closed session.
Okay,
There's some
very good.
update stuff that we want to talk about.
All right, I knew that there was a little bit in question. Very good. Okay, thank you again. I would entertain the motion for item number 12 on the agenda to go into the Lindon City Redevelopment Agency meeting.
So motioned.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And you will see that this is a separate agency. This is a separate agenda report here for those that are following. All right. We'll
Me?
go ahead and let's see. We need to bring this back to Michael Florence for the RDA. Mike, are you going to be the one presenting for the RDA tonight as our sub?
I will,
You are?
but do you need to do the?
We'll do the roll call. I
Okay.
just wanted to double check which of staff was covering it since Adam's gone. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and do the roll call.
Van Broderick, present.
Cole Hooley, present.
Carolyn Lundberg, present.
Jake Hoyt, present.
Lincoln Jacobs, present.
Steve Stewart. Present.
All right. Then we are all in attendance. Thank you, everyone. We will now go on to item number 2. This is the approval of the minutes from the RDA that was held March 17th, 2025. Any review changes?
I submitted a change. There was just a missing word that I sent Brittany earlier.
All right. Brittany has that noted then? Okay, any other adjustments?
What was the missing word?
On Lincoln Jacobs, the motion, instead of Lincoln Jacobs seconded the motion. Which I caught because I searched for my name. I'm not looking for you guys.
Okay, are we ready to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the RDA minutes from March 17th, 2025 with the previous notation that I gave to Brittany.
Okay, so moved by Councilmember Jacobs.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to the next item. Okay, we have a resolution.
I think you got a public hearing.
I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, so now we're talking about budget for the RDA. And amending the current year budget, there is just a transfer from the general fund and then paying out a tax participation agreement for calendar year 2024 taxes in the 2025 fiscal year. So, and then you can just see those numbers here. And then for next year's budget, we've got 5 districts that we still have money in. 2 are collecting tax increment. And you can see that. I don't know if you have any questions.
Fairly straightforward, thank you. All right, this is open for public comment. All right, council, take it away.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Stewart to close the public hearing of the RDA. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve resolution 2025-3-RDA.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Stewart. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is unanimous.
I'll now motion to adjourn the Lindon City RDA meeting and reconvene the Lindon City Council meeting.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Jacobs. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are now back in the regular Lindon City City Council meeting, and we are on item number 13, which is a closed session item for the City Council to discuss, as per Utah Code, potential purchase or sale of real property and pending or possible litigation. All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I move
And
to
roll
enter
call.
a closed session.
All right, let's go ahead and do our, all in favor to go into closed session? Roll call
Steve
it.
Stewart, aye.
Lincoln Jacobs, aye.
Jake Hoyt, aye.
Carolyn Lundberg, aye.
Cole Hooley, aye.
Van Broderick, aye.
Need a second on that? It was Van.
Okay. All right, we will now end the City Council meeting or convene, okay. All right.
closed session, and just for the record, present in the closed session are the city council members plus, did it not go? Not yet. All right, we'll start that again.
I do, thank you. You do too. Sweet.
Okay, there it's recording. There we go. All right. Yeah, we're off there.
Just end the stream. Oh, here's Adam. Hey, Adam.
It's like, I still see you.
Oh no, what do we do wrong?
Coaching us from afar.
We haven't turned off the stream. He's watching it going.
Council, just for funsies, I have some Parade of Homes